son of a bitch.
That's right. The old switcheroo.
This is
Monday mailbag, casual
worst
Friday.
show ever.
We're starting things casual right from the start.
You can't do this on a Monday. You can't bring Friday vibes to a Monday. What are you doing?
This is like dad on a cruise ship vibes, man. Oh my goodness. You're feeling this, huh, Dev?
This is my favorite song.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into the DNVR Nuggets podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. You're going to want to use that promo code DNVR when you sign up because when you do, Dev gives you all these winners. You make all kinds of money. And you can also listen to the Bet Show and get advice from Andre and Eric this week. So we're telling you to take the over. No matter how high they put the home run derby total, Eric is going to take the over.
Well, no, here's the thing is that they have set the home run derby total to an irresponsibly low number in the odds boost. It's boosted to plus 420.
I didn't see that odds boost. You guys kept saying this. I couldn't find it. No, I don't.
You need to go to odds boost specifically.
I went to odds boost specifically. Never mind. We can argue about this all day. We do have a great show for you guys today, despite the way Eric has started things off by telling me I'm wrong. And what we've got is Monday mailbag. We got some good questions we're going to get to here in segment one. A little bit later, Harrison Wind is going to be joining us as we speak. Harrison Wind is, you already found it. Right?
It's under odds boost. It's the third one down.
I looked at that. I'm telling you, I had a different.
I'm going to.
When you're doing ad reads, I'm going to pull it up and I'm going to make this bet if I can find it. But
can I make a bet
as
to whether you're able to find it?
You can make that bet, yes. In segment 2, guys, and 3, the Nuggets brought in some prospects today that are very interesting. And they're interesting because they are guys that I think are very realistic for Denver to take. And they're also different. So we're going to talk about them. They actually brought in 6 guys, 2 of whom are probably could go at 26. One of whom could go in the second round if Denver does end up picking up a second rounder, as they're known to do. And then the other guys are maybe G League guys. There's some intrigue there. Harrison's going to be talking to all of them and joining us a little bit later. But first, guys, I don't know if you realize this, Dev. I know Eric does because I was talking to him about it over the weekend, but I don't know if you realize this. We went through this like limbo period. I would say we were in NBA purgatory where the Nuggets were out, the NBA is still going on, and it still is. The final's still going on. But we are only 2.5 weeks away from the NBA draft. 2.5 weeks.
That's wild. That's a good time because I know in the past when it's these type of times, you're like, what are we gonna do? Baseball again? But this year was like a little bit different and off, and also it's still going on. So I like it.
But the thing is like, so this weekend, and really when I say this weekend, I mean yesterday, I'm starting to look down. I see the Nuggets have all these prospects coming in, and usually as we've been doing this prospecting, 1 or 2 players a week. As we've been doing these, it's been like, okay, I'm going to put an hour or less into the work here. I'm going to watch the scouting videos, take some notes, and try to get a feel, internalize these guys on a very surface level. Now that we're only 2 weeks away, you start to zero in on some guys, and that's why I'm excited for today because it's so close, and the guys that they're starting to bring in and we're starting to talk about are realistic guys that So I feel like I had a lot of fun yesterday diving into the film, more so than I have previously, because it's like, hey, now it's starting to get a little bit more real and get a little bit more close. To give you some dates and deadlines, this week, Will Barton has to decide whether he's opting in or opting out. We're going to find out by the end of the week. I believe Saturday is the deadline. We're gonna know the answer to that. Eric?
That's a tough spot, especially he's still in Denver. He's a baseball player now.
He is a baseball player.
He's a softball player. Softball
or hardball or something.
He's a celebrity and a softball player.
So Will Barton is a celebrity. Everybody knows that.
He is definitely a celebrity. Do you guys know, is that game airing tonight? Because it already happened.
I don't think they air it. I don't think it's ever aired.
Oh, it never even gets aired. It's
like one of those things that there's like a red carpet.
No, it gets aired after the home run derby tonight.
Oh, it does?
Eric, did give us misinformation here, man. Thank you, Kale, for putting the record straight. But here's the thing. So they already played it because I know one of the questions we got today was like, how does he do? I already know. Mike Singer filmed it. He legally streamed this on Twitter. Mike Singer did. I know. And Will Barton hit like a base hit, tried to turn it into a triple. And then he got tagged out. It was the funniest play I've ever. It was like when you're playing like drunk softball with friends and nobody wants a single. You only want home runs.
Dude,
it was an infield home run attempt.
Don't you feel like he is obligated as Will Barton III to try to stretch everything into a triple?
Well done. Very good job. I think you were. No? I think you're right with that. Probably not. But I was glad to see Will Barton out there, and that'll be an interesting week for that. And then after that, you got Jermichael Green's decision. The draft, as I mentioned, 2.5 weeks away. Free agency just 3 weeks away. And Summer League, guys. Summer League. Doesn't it sound like that's a thing that's off in the horizon? 4 weeks away. Summer League exactly 4 weeks away. They'll be playing Denver Nuggets basketball games.
Yeah, I guess if you think about it, we are in the summer.
That is a good point.
Summer League happens in the summer. I hadn't really put that together myself. It seems like irresponsible that there would be basketball happening so quickly. If not for anything, just for my psyche. But, let's go.
I'm curious if the team will be assembled differently this year because the team has a G League. Like, I just wonder if that's going to be a thing that they focus on a little bit differently. But that'll be a fun thing in and of itself now.
Yes.
Looking at the assembly of the Summer League team, like, okay, we know the main guys, but who are the other guys? I'm just at least a little bit excited about that.
I think it actually matters this year is the thing. Like, I think that in years previous, it was just kind of like, we have guys and we're going to try to help them out. And Nuggets have been a team that has helped people out. Now they have to actually take a real look at it. Like, this is our real job. This is like, we have to bring guys in for us. So it makes it completely different. I think that the pressure is on.
It's true. I can't wait to see a prospect and be like, oh my gosh, this guy's gold. And you're like, you think we should sign him? I'd be like, no, for our G League team, the gold.
That's funny. So dumb.
Listen, you set the precedent with that goddamn dad energy intro song. I got to bring some dad jokes.
Another thing that happened this weekend, Eric and I got real drunk at the DNVR bar. That was the thing that happened. Where were you, Dev?
See, I told you guys I had just moved. I have things to get situated.
Right.
Like what? Like a mini arcade box or a
I see that. Yeah,
of the skyline of Denver, something like that.
It's starting to come along.
Oh, let's go!
I went to Hobby Lobby.
What?
Great Hobby Lobby! Oh my! I wish I could see. We need to get super producer Kale with a camera to follow you when you're doing at Hobby Lobby. Dev at Hobby Lobby.
MTV Cribs.
MTV Cribs.
Oh my God! Yes.
But honestly, in all sincerity, this weekend, the DNVR bar had been a little bit regular, I would say, over the last month or so since the Avs and Nuggets ended. We had a nice watch party this weekend for the UFC, and my God, was it a 10 out of 10 experience. That was a lot of fun. Packed. People were into it. It just was a great vibe. And, the main fight, wasn't so great, but it was still a great time at the bar. So we'll definitely be doing that again. Also, that happened this weekend. Nigeria beat Team USA. USA broke a streak of 39 consecutive wins, no matter exhibition or regular counting games. Dev, what the hell do you make of this? Nigeria. It's not like we're talking. Do you remember 10 years ago, US beat Nigeria by 50?
Oh, I'm never going to forget that. If you guys have bored, Michael Blackson had like a skit where he's just upset of every single player that was in that game. It's one of my favorite skits of all time. But also, I don't believe that people are making it seem like it's nothing now. Like, they beat that team by 50 before. They came in as a 30-point favorite, and they lost. That's something to actually take a look at. That, and it also shows you, not to say that like the rest of the world is not getting more serious about it or getting better, because there is a lot of NBA players on those teams. Exactly. I'm Nigerian, but also just a 100% panderer. But also, it's just like to show like they're not taking it serious right now. So maybe this is like a wake up call that they really did need.
Yeah. To me, first off, like, I watched highlights of that game. I mourned the loss of Kevin Durant's soul when Precious Achua stole it from him with that block.
That was wild, yeah.
So R.I.P. KD's soul. Sorry about that. But also, yes, like this is that type of thing where it's like, you idiots, like you can't just put on the uniform and then suddenly you're good. You actually have to play as a team, and you have to figure out how to actually work together. I'm glad they lost. Like, I like it when hubris is punished. So good. Like, you can't just roll in. The rest of the world cares about basketball. The rest of the world is full of NBA caliber, basketball players. Many of whom are on the Nigerian team. I don't hate it at all. Like I like it. Like I like it when people get humbled. So
Well,
like wake up, USA. If you
well,
wanna
I
be
like it
USA.
when they get humbled by one Caleb Agada, who
Let's go.
honestly, we have learned his name actually means legend in Hebrew. Might just be I think actually probably just a coincidence the way like Bol's name means pain and like it's Serbian or whatever. But nonetheless, we're gonna run with it. But he was actually fantastic. I mean, honest to God, he had 17 points. He scored as many points as Kevin Durant. I think maybe even I think the same amount. And he had some nice plays in there. He looked like he belonged. So made me only more excited for him to be on the summer league team. Tonight. Gold. U.S. has Australia. I might tune in. I might see if now you lose one game and it's like whatever, like you said, wake up call, this or that. You lose two or you have a close one. It's like, hey, does this team suck? Should they have not brought on Darius Garland? Like maybe they should have like actually put some defenders on this roster. So that'll be interesting. But we got to get to the mailbag, guys. Do we have our mailbag graphic, Kale? It is Mailbag Monday. Bull is indeed Pain. That's right. That was actually a very accurate name. So maybe Caleb Agata will be the legend. Today, Mailbag Monday, as we always do on Mondays. You guys send us in your questions, and we're going to answer them. Let you guys steer the conversation, at least in this first segment. And, Kale, what do we have for our first question for Mailbag Monday? We got it from Jesse Hartman.
We have upped our
Bull
graphics here.
Well, do you see this graphic I made, man? I mean, it's incredible. Just the composition, the layout, the Fibonacci sequence. Is that what it is? Like you can see everything here, the golden ratio.
The golden ratio. I don't love that you positioned my mailbag underneath the DraftKings code, but whatever.
Well, I did.
We can't win everything.
That's superimposed onto. I didn't factor that in. That was an oversight on my part.
That's called rookie. That's called a rookie move.
But can we bring it back up because I did not internalize that question. Jesse Hartman asked, "Does Bull and pick number 26 in the first round move the Nuggets up in the first round at all? And if so, are there any prospects worth reaching for?" Dev, I'll let you start with this one. Bull and 26. How far up does that move you?
Absolutely not. You're not going to move all the way up. Like you're saying someone that has not shown anything in the league thus far in the 26th pick. Like people don't want that badly in a pretty good draft. So I don't think that it moves you a lot until Bobo proves that he's an NBA player. Then they're not going to want to move him with the 26th pick. So it's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah. They're like, so I know you have the 15th pick. What if we gave you instead the 26th pick and a guy we're going to cut?
And a guy who's owed money, by the way. He's like on an actual contract. So it really is like when you've got a buddy, he owes you up, some money. And he's like, hey, look, man, I can't pay it all back. But what I have is a gift card to the Olive Garden. And it's like, dude,
it's not full. I did use it. I don't remember how much is left.
It's less than one meal's worth. It's like $8. So like, we'll just knock that $8 off the total. And you're like, bro, this is actually a burden to me. Now I have a card I don't know what to do with. So yeah, that's what Bull unfortunately does not. I don't even think moves you up to 25, 24. Like it literally, I think, has no value. Now he does have value, I think, as a second round. I would not be surprised if he was traded for the 50th pick or something like that, straight, equal deal or something like that. Like I could see something of that nature happening, but not to move up in the first.
The only way to describe the plight of Bull here in Denver is to say it's just nothing but pain. It's not giving us anything.
Sad as it may be. And honestly, I haven't gone through every prospect yet. We got 2 weeks to the draft. We will have, by the way, our live draft show. That's always a banger. It's going to be a great time. So you're going to want to tune into that for your draft coverage. Actually, come down to the bar. We'll be playing it over the speakers and everything. So it'll be this year's going to be even better than last year. And by the 2 week mark, we will have obviously everybody there. But right now, I couldn't tell you everybody that's projected to go 15, 16, 17, all that, just the guys basically that we've gone over, 3 of which we'll go over today. All right, what's the next question we got, Kale? There he is. All right, Flo ask at 26.
Our man Flo from Friday.
That's right. At 26, do you pick strictly on talent, or could you pass on someone who would be redundant on the team? What do you think here, Eric?
I think that the Nuggets are in a place where they need to just simply get best player available from here on out forevermore. They are just constantly when you have your core intact, you don't try to then fill in the gaps with rookies. You just try to get the best player, you keep the cupboard stocked, and then you see what shall come down the road. So it would be foolish for them to be like, all right, well, we need this kind of player. Let's see if a 19-year-old kid can be that guy.
Yeah.
I think that the Nuggets have been like, they're in a beautiful spot for the last couple of years now where they're going for best talent available because they have young players on their team that's not even getting to play yet.
Yes.
We just talked about Bol in our last decision, and he hasn't even been able to play yet. So you go after best available because you already have a team. You already have
that core.
Guys. You're going to just bring a guy in that's going to get better. And finally, there's a G League team that they could actually get better with. So Nuggets are in they're primed for the future. It's great spot to be in.
Doesn't this feel like oddly luxurious that we have a G League team now? Like we could think we're like, what? It's our G League team. We're not just going to send it to whatever G League squad has an open roster spot. Like I don't know what to do with myself. It seems unreal.
Oh, I'm telling you, I'm so excited for Tim Conley to get to select an entire G League team. I'm just they're all going to be winners. I can't wait to totally talk myself into the second guy off the bench for the Grand Rapids Gold. It's going to be.
I'm going to watch so much Grand Rapids Gold.
Me too. I'm very excited for it.
If you look at the Nuggets, G League players that they've had in the past, which is not a lot. Whenever they have them, they stand out. They play really well in the G League, and it gives you something to be excited about. We were excited about Bobo when he was in the G League. Monte Morris destroyed in the G League.
Yeah.
You have these players that we're excited to see. PJ Dozier was really good.
Yeah.
So now we're going to be able to see a real team and actually be able to follow that team.
So I see going backwards a little bit here, but Drew asked, talking of Bol, he's still young enough. He gets the reps in the G League. The comment just changed here. But then he says something like, yeah, but he's still young, and if he gets enough reps in the G Leagues, he might be able to adapt to the NBA. Here's the thing about that. He's got one more year with Denver. So the whole point is Denver could make him into a great player, and then he'd be gone. So it's how much do you invest into what's going to pay it off? And, when they got him 2 years ago, the hope was by now he would be a piece and he would actually be contributing. But now, to me, he looks like a project and one that even if it works out, he'll be ready just in time to leave Denver. So not a lot of hope there. Go ahead.
It's also what is his value at this moment? If we're talking about trading him, people aren't oh man, so you're telling me I can get a guy that was formerly drafted very late in the second round, and I can I can get him, and all I have to do is give you my superior first round pick and get your lesser first round pick,
right?
And I could maybe develop him in the future,
right? There's no value, no value. Well, as for fit, the only fit question that I think matters for Denver is, does he fit with Jokic and Murray? Because everything else is going to be very fluid. Michael Porter, I think, will eventually, and maybe as early as this summer when they offer him a max extension, solidify himself as that piece, and then you start thinking about those three guys. But I think with fit, that's the only thing you're asking is does he fit the culture and does he fit with those guys? And most guys do, but maybe there's a player that really doesn't, and you say, okay, we got to pass on that guy. But other than that, upside, don't worry about what position has vacancies, because by the time any of these guys are ready to play, the team will look completely different. All right, let's go to the next one. We got to kind of hurry here, so I want to get into these prospects because they're so fascinating. Coming from the Discord, the DNVR member here, Sweet Baby Ray, with the Orlando job filled, how likely is it that Wes Unseld Jr. ends up in Washington? It's a really good question. Deb, what do you think?
I think that is really likely now, especially with all the other vacancies no longer being there. And also, there's just already been a trail, for him to be there. And he already has his dad and that whole fit. I think that is going to be, great for him to try to make his own name in the city that his dad is known in. Very tough spot to be in with Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal and having to go with that. But I do think that he is going to be the coach.
What do you think, Eric?
No clue. It seems like it makes sense. Who knows what goes into these decisions?
Right.
Who knows how he interviews? Who knows how? A lot of guys are ready, and people, I suppose you should say, a lot of candidates are qualified and are ready, and you just don't know how it goes with. Anytime you do any kind of hiring anywhere for any job,
I know,
once the door closes, the conversation happened, it was weird. That whatever.
And sometimes we see this where guys get interviews and they're oh man, this guy looks really great. And then for some reason they keep not getting the job. And then later you find out there's something to it. I think the most recent example of this was Bjorkgren, who ended up getting the job. And I remember them saying they never asked him about like relationships. And that's why he got, but it sounds like everybody else that ever asked him or like got to know him as a personal guy is like, yeah, he does not have the temperament for a head coach. He's kind of a dick and he doesn't know how to relate to people. And I'm not saying that of Wes Unseld. By all accounts, like I don't know that he has any flies. You just don't know. And that's my point is I hope it doesn't turn out to be, guess who's calling me right now, guys? Brandon Spano, not aware that we have a Nugget show every day.
Don't worry. He also called me earlier when I was on bets.
You gotta love it. So anyway, I gotta think that he has an inside track, but we won't know until it happens. On that same line, we had another question about coaching, Kale. I don't know, Kale leave. Okay. All right, this is a different question. Okay, we'll go to this one. Sorry, I put those out of order. What is in your opinion, the number one thing to focus on for the coaching staff and the GM after last season? And number two, are there any available candidates that stick out for a coaching replacement if Wes leaves? So along those same lines, what would you look for, superstar Dev? What would you look for in a new assistant coach should one be brought in? And is there anybody you have in mind?
I guess I would say like player development as far as the young, but I mean, with the G League team now, you're able to get that. I think it's really tough when you don't get to practice much and you're also not playing. I don't know how you're supposed to get better. You just kind of have to just learn the game of basketball, like from not reps, just practice itself. Candidates, no, I really don't know anyone off the top of my head right now.
So the guy I thought of, the only name that I really thought of was Sam Cassell. I'm curious, like, I mean, there's been some players now that have former point guards who have obviously had a lot of success coaching, and I wonder if he's one of those guys. Like he was a very smart basketball player, smart point guard. So I wonder if he would be one. And he is known as like a high level assistant coach at the moment. So let the belly breathe. Oh, I like that photo. Yeah, that was the guy.
Quinn Miners.
What's that?
That's Quinn Miners.
Oh, Quinn Miners. Yeah, let the belly breathe there, big doll. I like it. So that would be the guy. And for me, this might be Eric. Tell me what you think of this. You're losing your defensive coach in Wes Unseld. But personally, I would love an offensive guru. And I know that's Adelman's job, and I know Denver has been good offensively, but I just still feel like there's something fresh that could be, the Nuggets could still go up another level offensively with their creativity. And so somebody that's just a little bit outside the box thinker, we might be through. It might be a little stale with what they've done. Not that it's not effective, but just you need a fresh set of eyes on the team.
Adam has the indelible mark of Chris Finch always on his brain. He can't ever get away from this. I would like to. I mean, you're not wrong. Like it seems like we could do a little bit more. We have just dynamic scorers on this team. But I also saw our offense. I don't know if I've mentioned this. Operate as the number one offense in the history of the NBA for 8 games when we had all of our players together. So maybe we're okay in that department.
Let me say one thing though, because you're right. But this is a regular season league and a postseason league, meaning they're very different. 2 years ago, they couldn't score in the Lakers. That's why they lost. This year, they could not score with the Phoenix Suns. That's why they lost. Like I think there's something to that. So as much as I agree with you,
hold on.
They were missing a lot of guys. Look, I'm not trying to like put too much content. They were missing their second best.
So what was this drive time radio? What are we doing here? So what I would like to see happen is I'd like to see them bring some more international flair. I'd like to see potentially a Serbian coach. I'd like to see coaches that can make a lot of the players that come here, sort of feel comfortable and can sort of talk to them on their level. Obviously, Facu not Serbian, but I don't know. I like the idea that different parts of the coaching staff sort of cater to different parts of what the players need. They need Michael Malone to provide the steel boot, give him the kick and the swift kick from behind when things are not going right. But they also need that comforting voice when things are not going well. Maybe they're feeling a little bit off. And obviously the pool of international coaches is vast and untapped. So what that means, I don't know. But I would love for. I mean, I'm sure Tim Connolly has great knowledge of what that looks like.
I will say, and this is an important thing. Wes Unseld is a black coach. You have Michael Malone, you've got Ogi Stojakovic, you've got Adelman, and then on the other side you've got JB, and you've got who else is there? Oh, Jordy Fernandez. Like, you bring on another international or white coach, like then you start to have a staff that's 5 white guys, 1 black. That would just saying that would.
It's a good point. It's a good point. What if we got an international black coach? I mean, what if we fill it out that way?
Well, there you go.
You're not wrong though. But
I like it.
Congratulations,
we did our
to Adam.
Serbians. Any black Serbian assistant coach?
Dev.
High level, like very.
Let's hire Dev.
Oh, we gotta hire just Dev, the only black Serbian we know. All right, last question here, Kay. Let's hit our last one. I know we went long in this first segment, but it's Eric's fault. Do you see any parallels between Jamal's 2019 playoff run and MPJ's 2021 playoffs? I think that Jamal being targeted by players like Rodney Hood in those playoffs motivated him to become his defense, to improve his defense, and I hope we see a similar evolution in MPJ. I see some parallels there. I don't see a lot. Jamal Murray, the biggest thing that I think is different there is that Jamal Murray was already established as the second guy in Denver, and then like he proved that he could be that. I think Michael Porter, I would have expected him to be more of the second guy through this playoff run. I just don't think he was. At times he was. He was certainly dynamic at times, but I didn't feel like it was a 2-man, monster. It was Jokic, and MPJ at most games looked like every other player, which is to say a supporting member of Jokic.
That's exactly how it happened. That's exactly what unfolded. But the question is like, how much can we count on the development of Michael Porter Jr. in all aspects of his game? And I just think you can't count on anything, but it's not at all unrealistic to think that would happen. Like, oh my God, look at this.
Is this a
Harrison
win
and Adam?
time?
Harrison and Adam wearing the same shirt. Let's go. Yeah.
Harrison, you showed up just in time for our first ad break.
Oh, what timing!
Wow, this is how we're gonna start the week. I show up on the show and just you throw an ad break on me.
No, for Adam or Harrison, we started off the week with Adam playing Casual Friday music for the Monday Mailbag. This week is already a wash.
That's the good tone for the week. I think you could say that's a good tone.
This is why you're the GOAT. You're the OG. All right, let's take our first break. On the other side, though, Harrison Wind is going to be reporting for the first time in a month. He's going to be reporting live from Ball Arena. He was just there virtually, and I can't wait. I saw that it was a very intimate interview setting, Harrison. When I hopped on. Not a lot of people on these Zooms.
It was very intimate, which I'll explain shortly. First, though, make sure to pick up some Mile High City Copper Lager from Breck Brew this week. You know the can, that Nuggets Skyline blue can with the Nuggets logo on it. Great for any type of setting. So make sure to pick up some Mile High City Copper Lager from Breck Brew. You can get it from the Breck Brew Farmhouse. You can get it from your local liquor store, wherever they sell Breck Brew. Also, go to StravaCraftCoffee.com to get 25% off your order of Strava Craft Coffee, which is packed with CBD. That can help relieve back pain, arthritis, neck pain, IBS, tons of aches and pains, tons of other stuff as well. You can get it for 25% off with your first purchase with the code DNVR25. If you're a returning Strava Craft Coffee customer, you can use the code DNVR20 for 20% off. Get that at StravaCraftCoffee.com.
Casual Monday. In effect, Adam leaves his chair, then has to have his screen taken off, which takes with it the music.
Oh, yeah, you can't do that. You got to just let it play out. It's great music, by the way. I love this comment, by the way, from Alex, Dev diagramming an ATO. I had this relationship. Every time out.
That seems like how Mark Jackson probably started off his, drawing up an ATO. I could see Mark Jackson
with all due respect.
Yeah.
Oh man, Adam left and the average handsomeness got even higher. Man, cold world, cruel world, man.
In your GD face, Adam.
You know what? Alex not finding me attractive. I'm okay with that. The Nuggets tonight hosted 6 guards for a workout. Very exciting stuff. So we're gonna do a little bit of prospecting.
Let's go prospecting.
Let's go.
Where's Dev on this graphic, Eric? Jeez, dude.
Well, Dev at that point wasn't participating in the prospect. I should update the graphic.
I would leave the show right now if I was you, Dev. I would just leave it. I wouldn't take that disrespect.
You guys all look silly in those outfits.
Yeah, Brendan's in goddamn Hawaii. He still gets to be on the graphic. You know what, Dev? I'm outraged for you. At me.
So, all right, we got to get to this because there's a lot here, and I want to start with Josh Christopher. So, I want to start by saying this actually. Well, you can take that off for a second here, Kel. They brought in 6 guards, and they do this. They bring in when a team decides who to bring in. First, it's scheduling, like that's number one. How they can get guys to fit the schedule, but they bring in guys that they want to have test whoever it is they're bringing in. So, the reason there were 6 guards today is, in my opinion, is because they wanted to get a really good look at Josh Christopher and Quentin Grimes, and especially putting those guys against each other. But also Jason Preston, who is also a guard who could go in the second round. We're going to talk a lot about him. They wanted to challenge him, and he struggles with speed. He struggles with craftiness, defensively. And so you bring in some guys who are quick and crafty and can score, really good one-on-one scoring guards, and you're going to try to challenge them as well. At least that's my opinion of it. So the first guy we could start with here is Josh Christopher. When you can bring it up now, Hill. So from Arizona State, the highest rated high school recruit Arizona State brought since James Harden. So it was a big deal that this guy went to Arizona State, and now he's like a late first, early second round projected player. He spent time where he was early on in the season where he was even higher than that. They thought maybe he'd go late lottery or mid-teens. His stock kind of fell. Only a 15-game season for him. Harrison, do you want to walk us through? I mean, I know you did some scouting on him last night. Just kind of your big picture take on some of the pros here.
Yeah, so I mean, I think Josh Christopher has a lot of stuff to like if you're just looking for a prototypical NBA 2 guard. I mean, he's 6'5", 215 pounds. He's got an NBA body or close to that already. I feel like he's a lot stronger than a lot of other rookies in his class. And he actually kind of talked about that today in his post pre-draft workout interview. And like you said, he's a former, I think, 11th ranked recruit. So there's a lot to like here. And I guess I'm a little confused why he's rated so low. He's like a fringe first round guy, it seems. But, he's got the measurables. He's got the natural talent of a guy I think should probably be a first rounder. Like the scoring instincts are there. Seems like he's going to have a nice jumper. Like the natural athleticism is there. So he's got to refine his game a lot, but I think there's a lot to like if you're just looking for, that prototypical NBA guard.
Are these highlight clips coming through for you guys?
They're a little choppy.
A little choppy. I mean, this might not work, Cal. I can't really tell what's going on. So yeah, you're right. This guy is a scorer. Dev, do you have a scout on this guy?
Yeah, so like you guys already said, he's a 5-star recruit, so like really high rated, and it was actually like pretty big that he ended up going to Arizona State because he had all the blue bloods and big schools after him, but he ended up choosing ASU. His brother is on the team, so that's pretty much why he chose there, the opportunity to play with his brother. And he was also projected to go in the first round, but COVID and injuries, like he missed like 11 games this year. That actually like pushed him back a little bit. I was a little bit shocked that he didn't stay for an extra year just because his stock drops due to not playing, because this is a first round pick. He is a player that is a really good project, and he's like high end, high reward type of player. So I'm shocked about that. The pros, I mean, he's 6'5" and he's big. He's athletic. He's one of those guys that's looking to make the right play, even though at times he has those questionable shots. But that's what you get from a gifted athlete. I think a lot of the times he's went from just being so athletic and so much better than people that he didn't work on those other parts of his game. But he's a lockdown defender, and when you have a guy that's this athletic and a high end guy that's two-way player, that brings his stock up high as well. So I'm really high on Josh Christopher. I know that Adam, you always say that these are the my mode type of guys, but I think is a little bit different. Even though he does have the questionable shots, he doesn't just jack every single time. He's a player that at times he will be a little bit passive if things aren't going his way, but he also makes the right play. So ball stopper, but he's the player.
He is. You kind of mentioned it. He's a really good one-on-one scorer. I think the fear is he a gunner? And does he play with a little bit too much? Does he have like too much star in him? Because I'm not sure he's a star player. I do think that he has more upside than anybody that came in today. It could be wrong on that, but he's just a really good athlete. He's got good measurables. He's got a good shot, not a great one. It looks like it could be he could improve there because the shot looks good, but he's just a pure scorer. So it's funny. Watching him, there was a little Malik Beasley I saw in his game. Just
Dude, I thought of Malik Beasley too. That's wild.
Yeah, and so him a little bit, and then the funny thing is, I think Hair might be the number one comp. Like when you know how like European players always get comp to European players. I think Hair is maybe the number 2 behind Skin Tone. Number 2 is going to be the Hair because I saw him comp to Nick Young, and I'm like, what is it? Oh, it's the Hair. Yeah, he's got.
We're
the same
comping
hair
a lot of guys to Nick Young this year, apparently.
But the one thing I wonder about him, and Harrison, I wanted to ask you this: did you get a sense talking to him because he seems like a very laid back, fun guy, and this is I hate this about draft analysis. I kind of hate the draft in some ways. Is if a guy, it's like Anthony Edwards. What did everybody say last year? He's not a serious guy. He's too goofy. We get to know him and we're like, I love this dude. He's like so like refreshing and honest. And I can't believe that him showing his personality was counted against him. But the same things are said about Josh Christopher, and I wonder if you got a sense of if this is just noise from people that want these guys to be robots.
Yeah, I think there's a comparison to be made between Anthony Edwards' personality and Josh Christopher's. Definitely. Josh Christopher was a great interview. Like, clearly the best interview of this morning of the 3. Really engaging guy, really enthusiastic. Like, one of the things he says that is one of his calling cards is just he brings energy and he's fearless. And like, I totally believe it. That really just came off in his interview. And I thought this was an interesting thing he said that can kind of give you a little insight into just his preparation and how serious it seems like he takes the game. He said that he flew into Denver last night, and to get used to the elevation, he landed and then went on a run to like get used to the elevation and like get his lungs opened up. So I don't know how many guys do that. I doubt everybody does. I doubt a lot of guys do, but I was impressed with like his interview and just kind of how he came off. Yeah.
That's what Andre Iguodala said when he first came, is that in order to get acclimated, you just to go and do a huge run.
Maybe it's an Arizona thing. With Josh, I think that what makes him a little bit different than these other prospects is because he's been highly coveted for so long. He's been in the spotlight. He also is like, he's like close with like star players in the league. He knows like a lot of players that are already in the league. I think he's a player that's comfortable because this is like what he's been around. I don't think that he's going to a regular college open gym or just a regular open gym. He's being around these NBA players already and has a relationship with them. So I think his confidence is really, really high. And that's why it translates into the way that he plays the way that he does in the preparation. Like when he gets out here, he does professional type things already.
Yeah. And he has some high moves, like his good moves and his highlight mixes and stuff are like really impressive. You look at that stuff and you go like, okay, not everybody can make that one. So the numbers, I think, tell a big story of it, but maybe his upside, you know, there's certain parts of it. Downside, defensive focus. I mean, his one of those guys where, you know, you always have the good, you know, the pros and the cons videos or whatever. The con video for him, like some of the defensive stuff, you go like, bro, how did that happen, man? Do you just, you know, like, are you not paying any attention whatsoever? And the answer probably yes. So there's that aspect to it.
I know we hate the Nick Young comparison, but I think that it fits for him.
It kind of does.
I love the Malik Beasley comparison because you could probably say the same thing about Malik as a defender in college. Yeah. And even like his first year or two in the league, you could probably say the same thing about Malik's 3-point shooting. It looked like he should have been a better shooter than he was in college and coming into the league. Seems like it's the same thing with Christopher. If he just refines a couple things, he could be a much better 3-point shooter.
And he knows how to score.
Yeah, the one major downside is that he has 2 first names.
It is. He is a double first namer. Yeah, I don't love that.
I can't. Josh Chris.
The Nuggets only have one double unique, and that's Facundo Campazzo.
Oh.
There's no other in the history of NBA Facundos or Campazzos. That's the only one the Nuggets have. Actually, Zeke Naji. I wonder if Zeke Naji might be a second one. I don't know if there's been there's probably been a Zeke before, not just a nickname. Go ahead.
I was going to say something else about Josh Christopher. I asked him how familiar he is with the Nuggets roster, and he's very familiar, very familiar with Denver's roster. He's friends with, you want to guess who? You want to guess what Nuggets player he's friends with?
Monte Morris.
He's friends with Monte Morris, of course. He said he's got a relationship with Michael Porter Jr., who sent him a box of Pumas recently. He called Bol his guy. He said him and Bol are like this.
All right.
What?
Well.
And he loves watching Nikola Jokic play. So very familiar with the Nuggets roster.
Honest to God, we're the easiest freaking people on earth. This way, everybody needs to come to Denver for the media, because all you have to say is, I like watching Jokic play, and we're like, dude, they should draft this guy. Really?
This guy knows, he's a scholar of the game.
He's a scholar of the game. It's so true, man. So true. All right. Those are all great notes. Let's move on. Unless anybody has anything else on him, we can go ahead and move on to Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes, very similar boat to Josh Christopher in that mock drafts have those two guys very, very similar in terms of where they're going to go. Most people, by the way, after 26. So for neither of these guys, they're usually like 28 to 33, both of them. So I think they'll both be available. Quentin Grimes, it's funny, the comp I had, and actually I wasn't the only one. I think Hoop Intellect had this as well. Another former Denver Nuggets shooting guard in Gary Harris. Physically, they're almost identical. Same height, weight, and wingspans. So very similar builds. A little bit. Gary Harris built more like a football player. I think Quentin Grimes, pretty thick-bodied guy for his height. But he is more of a true 3-and-D player. Very good defensive player, especially on ball, and a good spot-up shooter, and actually really shooter of all different types. But much less dynamic, much less athletic than a Josh Christopher. Let me go to Dev first here. Dev, what do you have a scout on Grimes?
Yeah, I'll say he's for sure a shooter. He shot about 40% from beyond the arc this year, and that's not on small attempts. This guy took about 8.2 attempts a game, which you just don't see a lot of, especially for him not to be named only a shooter.
Right.
That's something that's a little bit new for me. Super strong guy that I think is going to be a career role player, like at the next level. He's going to be a slasher at times if he can get that the athleticism up a bit. Just because guys are going to close out him a lot just because he's shooting so many threes. He's a bit older. He's 21, which falls in lines with all of the other guys that you guys are doing. I think DNVR wants to find an old guy since D-Line won't.
I like guys that are like me.
He's not a great finisher inside, not that explosive, but he also what he does really well is like lines of attack. He stops that. He's not just allowing guys to just run straight by him, which can keep him on the floor, especially in Denver. We know Malone wants to find a guy that could try to stop some type of guards just running by, and I think that he answers that. I'm not huge on Grimes, but I do think that he brings things that the Nuggets do need.
We got to get Quentin Grimes is the greatest name in the draft. Quentin
It is a good
Grimes?
name.
Are you
It is a
kidding
good
me?
one. Yeah.
We need to draft. Before I even saw an image, I was like, "That's my guy. I'm a Quentin Grimes guy."
Yeah,
It seems like more of a football name to me, though.
Doesn't-
Like, wasn't there an
Yes.
NFL player named Quentin Grimes? Or is that
Quentin
just me?
Jammer.
Quentin Jammer?
Quentin Jammer is a really good defensive back name for sure.
Yeah.
It's the best defensive back name.
Grimes also, he started at Kansas, right? Like
Correct.
Didn't translate there just because like once the jump shot is not falling, there's not many other things to his game, especially early on. I think that's when he started to pick up the defense, but there were times that he would go missing when he's not making shots. So he actually he changed the way that he plays.
He's
The
got
Quentin Grimes Grizzlies.
the Quentin Grimes Grizzlies. That's incredible.
That's what they were saying, right? They're calling them.
This
the
guy
Quentin
looks
Grimes.
exactly
Yeah.
like Gary Harris. You're not lying. Like he looks
Physically, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think his shot, I don't know. I like him quite a bit. You were talking about him. He was, I think, even a higher high school prospect than Josh Christopher was. Like he was his stock was super high. He goes to Kansas, has a very disappointing freshman season, transfers to Houston, and has slowly been regaining his value. And by the way, this was true of Christopher, but it was especially true of Grimes at the Combine. Great at the Combine, maybe the biggest standout of the Combine. And so his draft profile has really risen in large part because some of the things, especially shooting consistency and passing, he just looked great at the Combine for whatever that's worth. So he's climbing. Harrison, what's your scout? And tell us a little bit about your interview with him today.
The thing that stood out for me on his tape was his defense. 6'5" has like a 6'8" wingspan. He just seems like a really smart defender. It seems like he's going to be a really good defender from day one. He's got quick feet, just knows where to be, really good at anticipating guys that he's guarding. Really just sound on that end of the floor. So I think he's going to potentially sneak into the first round because he's going to probably be able to defend at the NBA level. His interview, he spoke a lot about his defense, that he's got the ability to guard 1 through 3 and then 4 if he needs to. He said he feels like he fit in great on the Nuggets. He can space the floor around Joker and Jamal Murray, he said. And I did find this was interesting. He said he watches a lot of Jamal Murray and Bradley Beal film. He said he kind of has a similar body to those guys. He's obviously bigger than Jamal. But he says that he's been, watching a lot of both of those guys and kind of trying to pick up stuff from both of their games.
It's funny. I don't really see – I almost see more Bradley Beal a little bit there, but that's not the mold of player I would want him to aspire to be, because I think that, Jamal Murray is a pretty good playmaker. And I think that Quentin Grimes, to me, that's one of his weaknesses is he has a really bad handle. And even his just passing, I think that he can grow to be a secondary playmaker, but he would have to grow to that. I think right now he's probably more like a Gary Harris playmaker, which is to say he's going to make basic reads, but he's not going to really create for you. He's just a guy you're not going to avoid.
I could see him playing something like a Jay Crowder role on like a really good team, like kind of around a couple other stars like Jay Crowder's doing in Phoenix. I think he could fill that type of role for a good team.
Now, I like his wrist action when he shoots. He's got that snap. That,
his shot is extremely repeatable. Yeah.
He also jumps really high on his jumper. Really high.
He's got a weird dip to it, but it's like every shot looks the exact same. And he was good, by the way, off of deep 3-pointers, catch and shoot, off screen, handoffs. So it wasn't just anything. And now here's the crazy thing about him, the X factor skill for him. He's an elite, or at least he was this last season, an elite rebounder for a guard position. I think he averaged almost 6 rebounds a game, which is a ton for a shooting guard. And he averaged almost 2 offensive rebounds per game, which again is another one of those skills that, like Torrey Craig or even Michael Porter, you put elite rebounding next to Jokic, it just seems to take that offense to a whole other level because of how much the Jokic offense stretches teams out. So he's my favorite one today. We're going to talk about Preston on the other side, who's my favorite in terms of just pure, what I like. But factoring in what I think will be the best player, Grimes to me is probably, and I'm not going to say probably, he's definitely my favorite player that we have covered so far. I'm not saying he's a lock or I love him or this or that. To me, he seems like he has the highest floor. He doesn't have the ceiling of a Josh Christopher probably, but he does to me look like a guy that I think plays for the Nuggets and would have would at least play his rookie scale contract for the Nuggets and be a contributor, which at this stage is kind of what you're looking for. And I also, by the way, one of the more ready, you Google most NBA ready players, who's going to make an impact as a rookie. He's always on the top of that list or near the top of that list of a guy that would probably walk in and be capable of contributing in some capacity right away.
He seemed like the most Nuggets guy in terms of his interview today. Just really mature, straight to the point, super business-like, I would say.
Yeah.
I like this guy. I'm with you. This is the favorite that we have seen of mine so far.
Yeah. And some of this playmaking stuff, when he came out of high school, he was a playmaker. So it's kind of funny that that's now one of his weaknesses is that he doesn't have a great handle and he doesn't pass well, because at least as a high school prospect, that's what they thought he was going to grow into be, was this kind of, high level, this or that. Sounds like a really good dude. I think character-wise, he's supposed to be really fit the Nuggets culture. Do you have any other notes from talking to him today, Harrison?
A very fast talker. Very fast talker.
Okay. Sweet.
Just to take everybody behind the curtain on these pre-draft interviews, or today was the first pre-draft workout that the Nuggets did with interviews. I don't know if they've brought in guys. I assume they've brought in guys casually prior to today, but this was the first one that they did publicly with media and whatnot. And there were 3 media members on the post pre-draft workout call.
Yeah,
3 of us. So
you,
it was
Ryan, and Singer.
Yeah, so we tried to fire off as many questions as we could.
I'd be so curious to hear, and maybe we will eventually hear about these workouts, because I'm sure that Grimes and Christopher were pitted against each other. Grimes being less of an offensive one-on-one guy, but more of a defender. And I'm just so curious how those guys did against each other. Maybe we'll find that out shortly. All right, let's hit the last break. On the other side, guys, my favorite prospect that the Nuggets are probably not going to take, but a really fun one. You guys know I've wanted Lonzo Ball, LaMelo Ball. We might have a Lonzo LaMelo hybrid if you squished him down to be 6'4". We might have that. Jason Preston. I'm telling you guys, my hype. I'm gonna bring the hype meter up to 11 in this final segment.
Oh, God. I gotta go.
Yeah, guys, we're now sponsored by Ball across the entire DNVR network. Really excited about this partnership. Ball is in the new Ball Arena, where the Denver Nuggets play. Where
Not the mixture of LaMelo and Lonzo, to be correct.
I don't know. I don't think so,
Okay,
but
cool.
maybe. The arena where Quentin Grimes might play next year, maybe. Also, as in the aerospace technology company, also as in the world's largest aluminum can and packaging manufacturer. That's how I knew of Ball. That's kind of what I just assumed they did. But they've also been a leader in global sustainability efforts for decades. In 2018 and 2019, Ball Aerospace developed image surveillance systems to observe natural resources from space and methane, ozone, even land and water use. So they're a really innovative environmental company that's, like I said, leading global sustainability efforts throughout the world for decades. If you want to work for Ball right here in Golden, you can check them out at #WorkAtBall online to apply for a position at their aluminum can plant. Text Golden to 77222 or go to jobs.ball.com, search for Golden. That's jobs.ball.com and search for Golden, or simply text Golden to 77222. They're a lot more than just the aluminum can company that makes those 8, 12, and 16-ounce cans. They're a company that's leading global sustainability efforts across the globe right now. At Manscaped, guys, right now, you can get this awesome deal exclusive for DNVR members. You can get 20% off plus free shipping when you use the code DNVR at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping when you use the code DNVR at manscaped.com. Make sure to pick up the Lawnmower 4.0 for the summer.
Eric, well, this one was for you, man.
That's a great
Alex
comment.
is on fire. Bull could stand to work at Ball.
That's great. Guys, make sure to pick up the Lawnmower 4.0 this summer. The 4000K LED spotlight, the wireless charging, the different blade lengths, sizes 1 through 4, the travel bag, $39 value with that. You get that with the Perfect Package 4.0. Make sure to use code DNVR at manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping. That's code DNVR at manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping. An absolutely essential item for this summer. And also at Green Mountain Dental Group right now, DNVR listeners can get a free Sonic Air toothbrush when you schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam. A lot of us at DNVR, we go to Green Mountain Dental Group to get all our dental work done, get our teeth cleaned, get cavities filled. Some of us have gotten our wisdom teeth out there. They're great people. They're great at what they do. Get a free Sonic Air toothbrush from Green Mountain Dental Group when you schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam today. What
do you think of the reggae, Eric? Are you on this one?
I'm fine with this. This is like a very generic sort of like ska, reggae, whatever. Like this could be on at any like generic frat party in the world.
Frat party? You think frat party? They're listening to these rhythms. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever been to a frat party, Eric? Is this just you ever been to one? Dev, you've been to a frat party where they just blasting some reggae?
Absolutely not at the frat party that I was with. Maybe from the school though. Maybe.
Well, okay.
CSU frat parties were very different.
Yeah, Adam. It goes to the party central. Where did you go? Some
Colorado College, baby.
College.
I actually
first off sounds like a made up place.
Yeah, I could see them playing reggae at a Colorado College frat party. To be quite honest.
But the intro music, the casual Friday music is again that's the official soundtrack of Brendan Votes shirts.
All right, final segment here, guys, and we're gonna go into Jason Preston. Preston, man, he's Preston. Did you catch that reference? Nobody? He's Preston. I mean, he wears shirts sometimes. Nobody? Anybody? Nobody?
So I get a look.
Preston.
Is that from 40-year-old version? Not 40-year-old version.
No, it is
it's the one after it.
No,
where there was an earthquake.
You're off the.
They all got pink eye.
No. Preston.
What?
Man. Preston. It's Can't Hardly Wait.
Oh,
And it's like
yes.
It's really weird because it was it actually is Jason Segel, but he's like an extra basically, and he's in that scene just like saying Preston.
Weren't they playing like generic reggae in that movie?
They might have been playing generic
Yes, they
reggae at
goddamn
that
were.
point.
Yes, they
I
were.
think
Mark
they
it
might have
down,
been.
Eric. Another point for Eric.
Another point. Not a frat party. All right, so Jason Preston. So this guy, who wants to tell the backstory? Who has the full backstory of this guy? Because he has a fantastic story about how he arrived at where he's at right now. Do you have it, Harrison or Deb? Anybody guys you want me to take this one?
So Jason went to high school in Orlando, Florida. He averaged 2 points per game, I believe, over his first 2 years of high school.
He's putting up Dev numbers. Crazy.
No, he's putting up my kind of numbers. He's putting up my kind of numbers. And he was only like 6 feet, 140 pounds. Then he ended up applying to University of Central Florida as a regular student. He was planning to major in journalism, apparently. And then he kind of went on the AAU circuit, chose to play prep basketball.
By the way, when you say
Prep
journalism
Academy in Tennessee,
he actually wrote blog posts about the Detroit Pistons. He's a Detroit Pistons fan somehow. So like he's like honestly one of us.
Yeah,
One of us. He's got Harrison's stat line.
he does. He's pretty much me.
It's like Harrison grew 4 inches his senior year, right after his senior year, and all of a sudden, yeah. Here
Oh my God! Can we scout Harrison as our next possible?
Those tapes have been deleted from the internet. Actually.
Okay.
But yeah, so he went to a prep academy, and then he grew 4 inches. Ended up averaging like 12 points, 9 assists, and 7 rebounds per game. Started out playing for the B team at this prep school, elevated to the A team. And he eventually started posting his highlights to Twitter to start generating some interest from colleges. And it worked. He got offers from Ohio and Longwood, eventually committed to play for Ohio, and kind of blew up at the tournament this year when he had a couple nice tournament games. So a heck of a story, a true underdog story, which definitely fits with the Nuggets roster.
Yeah. So really cool underdog story. We'll bring up some here. Here's what I like about him. This dude is the Nikola Jokic of this draft. What do I mean? Not that he could be the MVP. He doesn't have the upside. I mean, he's 6'4", but he is a guy that is simultaneously hyper fundamental and hyper unique. I mean, look at some of these shots that he hits are Jokic-esque, where you're just like, what was that? But he has an elite, and I really mean this, elite feel for the game as a playmaker and passer. One of the probably the single best like pure passer in this draft, and it's all sort of unconventional stuff. Like he throws one-handed passes behind the back, over the head, sideways, tons of no looks. I mean, he's throwing more no looks than any other college player you're going to really see, because he's such a crafty pick and roll player. No burst, no athleticism, really no physical gifts outside of the fact that he happens to be 6'4", although he too looks like he's 12 years old. I mean, he has a very like baby face and boyish body, too. Like he doesn't look like an NBA player physically.
Form corner is bad. Boy form corner.
I'm a little uncomfortable with boyish body, just a little.
But I'm telling you guys, this guy, I could watch. It's like Jokic highlights when you watch this guy play. I mean, right now his highlights that we're seeing are all scoring ones, which are a little uninteresting. But as a passer, the guy is just hyper creative in how he gets the ball where it's supposed to go, and I just love the idea of him and Jokic playing together. It's funny because, again, this comes back to hair, but he really reminds me of LaMelo. Sure. LaMelo's 6'7" and super long, pretty athletic, so you're missing out on a big part of what makes LaMelo great. But just in terms of like being unconventional but always in complete control and having this insane touch passes that sometimes like you don't even see him coming. He just checks all those boxes.
You know what he looks like to me? He looks like a combo of LaMelo Ball, obviously, and Michael Carter Williams.
Kind of. Yeah, I could see it. Yeah, I could see it.
MCW, yeah, for sure.
I think he might be a winner too. Like they won in the tournament. They went to Ohio. It's not like it's a powerhouse school. It's a tiny school, and he just like he kept winning and getting big wins in their profile.
Look at him taking it to the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina.
They didn't know it would hit him. Ohio versus Utah, a real basketball battle here. Dev, you have any takes on this guy as you're watching him here?
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's a good watch. He's someone that you can root for. I don't think that he will play like NBA basketball. Like I think that he'll have to play overseas, and he'll do like good over there. Maybe give it a G League run or two. I just don't think that at that position he's going to be able to translate at the next level just because he's not explosive. Jumper's not really like that well. He does have
the jumper's pretty good. He was a 40% 3-point shooter for 2 years. And a lot of this is because he has a great feel for the game, so he knows when his shots are supposed to arrive. I mean, he's not like creating dynamic threes, but he is good at one 3-point shot he's very good at pick and roll threes because he just seems to know when, like, okay, the defense is cheating, I got to punish him, and he's good at those.
Yeah, I think it's the speed. I think it's the speed, the change of pace. I think that once he has an NBA defender in front of him, it's going to be really hard for him to get his shots off. I'm not as high on him, but I do root for him. I do think that he's going to make money at the next level.
Mm-hmm. So this is why I say he's the Jokic of prospects. Because if you say like, okay, pick and roll playmaking, well, he's better than almost everybody outside of Cade Cunningham. He might be better or as good as everybody. Shooting 40% 3-point shooter. He's got an insane floater. Like he's really got a great floater and off balance finishing. So he's got all the skills offensively. Why won't he make it? Purely athleticism and body. And I'm not trying to discount that, but it is the exact same thing that was said about Jokic. And that's why he's so intriguing to me. As it worked for him at this level, even though it wasn't supposed to work up at the high school level. Then he gets to the college. It's like, well, it won't work there. Wins in the tournament. So it hasn't caught up to him quite yet. But NBA is a different animal.
Yeah, and the difference being that Jokic is a center and he's a point guard.
Right.
And you can't really have a slow, lunky point guard with no athleticism. Unless it is your center, who is Nikola Jokic.
Unless it's Luka Doncic.
Unless it's, Luka is like sneaky.
6'8", he's enormous.
He's enormous and he's like elusive. It's like he gets around everybody.
I think Preston has some of the athleticism that Luka Doncic does in terms of just knowing when to pick his spots, knowing how to change speeds, knowing how to keep the defense off balance, just being super crafty and super high Q. That's part of what makes Luka be able to be this superstar despite not being a good athlete. Preston has some of that too.
The thing that you're getting at here that I think is extremely accurate is that they both know like there's no wasted movements. Crafty. So even though he's not, well, it's not even just crafty. It's like he's never playing with the basketball or playing with his footwork. It's just like he's really good at, you're a little bit off balance here, it beats you. He's really good at keeping guys on his hip. Like he'll get us a little bit of space and he's really good at just keeping the ball away from him. I mean, a lot of the moves you see him do are Luka-esque in that they're so slow and you're just like, how is nobody taking it from him? But just because he's always in control, waiting for you to overplay, and then he gets, I mean, look at these finishes, he's walking through the rim and getting wide open layups, even though guys are tracking.
So this guy is now comp to Nikola Jokic and let's get this guy. What are we waiting on?
And LaMelo Ball.
And Michael Carter Williams. Let's not forget.
See, but I think that's the biggest thing for me, and also the question that I have, like with all of the positives that he has, which one of them is the need for the Nuggets? Like that's my whole issue with him.
Well, there's no need, and he's clearly a guy that would be with the Grand Rapids Gold this first year. Like, I mean, I would, as much as I would love to see him run pick and roll with Jokic, he's probably a two-way contract guy, second-round pick, two-way contract guy, and then it's like, okay, let's see what he does, and maybe he becomes a Monte Morris or Facu replacement in a year or two, and a guy that you just have on a cheap deal. But I just love his game. I mean, honestly, this is what it comes down to, and I think it's funny thinking about Tim Conley and what he likes to go for. Like, this seems to me like a Tim Conley pick where how many times have we heard this? Great player, great prospect, but one tragic flaw. And this is him. And so I just feel like Tim Conley will be like, hey, I'll go for it. I mean, Marcus Howard is 5'4", and he's like, well, let's try it out.
Second round. Yeah. Usually the tragic flaw that Tim Conley goes for is that he is the player has been physically injured. And has been
Monte
kinda-
Morris, though, too small. Marcus Howard, too small.
Well,
Like,
I mean, if you're
sometimes
saying that this is our second round pick, like
it is.
I
This
think-
is not 26. I mean, he's not going 26.
okay.
Yeah.
And I know some people asking, well, Denver doesn't have a second round pick. It's easy to get one. Very easy to get a second round pick.
Bull was acquired via cash.
Yeah, might just be cash.
Well, I always remember like when the Nuggets drafted Nikola Jokic and when Tim Connolly's talked about it, he says, yeah, like we were so lucky. We would have taken him in the first round if we knew he was going to be this guy, of course. But something he always comes back to when talking about Jokic is that he was just one of the more unique players in the draft. And that unique factor is something the Nuggets have gone for with a lot of guys in the past. And Jason Preston is absolutely unique. He's very, very unique, like we've talked about. And he's got a sky-high basketball
by the
IQ.
way. That three, by the way, I don't know if you just saw it where the defense went under and he pulls up. Those are the ones I'm talking about where, like right here,
There's another.
he's just it's just very good at that. The recognition of, okay, this is where my shots have to come from, and he's very confident in taking those ones.
Yeah. If you're not a plus athlete, like it doesn't seem like Jason Preston is, you've got to have a sky-high basketball IQ, an elite basketball IQ to stick in the NBA, and he's got that. So I think he's got a chance.
I love him. He's my last year was Paul Reed. I think 3 years ago was Jared Vanderbilt. Jason Preston is getting an early stamp of approval. This is my guy. I want to see him on the Grand Rapids Gold. I want to see what 1 year with Felipe does. Because let's be honest, man, that's the one thing. You go to like a Duke or a Kentucky or whatever, like you're going to get the close enough to professional trainers where they're going to try to add. You go to Ohio, and I'm not sure he was working with a nutritionist and a bodybuilder and all this or that. I want to see. He looks like he has a lot of work to do to become an NBA. He's never going to be like an average NBA athlete, but can he get stronger and just a little bit quicker? That'll matter a lot for him. But basketball IQ and passing, that's my thing.
Yeah, if you
I'm on
wanted
in, baby.
If you wanted to, you could see a little Andre Miller in his game.
All right, I'll take it just because I like Andre Miller. I'll take it. Some people I saw in the comments asking about his defense. That's horrible. He really like the idea of him trying to guard Trae Young. Look at that play, baby. If the idea of him trying to guard a Trae Young or like a De'Aaron Fox is like very frightening. So there is, there's some concern there. But I think he projects to be a backup point guard, not a starting point guard. And hey, man, I would love to watch him and Jokic go against bench units, just scoring every single time down the court. My God. Perfect. This is Lonzo Light. I've always wanted Lonzo Ball. This is Lonzo Light. You might be able to get him for a two-way.
Oh my
Yes,
God.
please.
If we can get this guy, it'll stop you from ever talking about Lonzo Ball coming to the Nuggets. I am all in on this.
Dev, you really don't like this guy?
Yeah, I just don't see it translating for the Nuggets. I just don't think he would ever see the court, like ever.
He's so slow.
Just because, it's the speed. And also, I just don't. Those moves used to work for me, like in 5th grade. And I try those moves at the gym. There's no chance. I'm just not fast enough.
I'll tell you right now. It's not like his moves. You mentioned his moves. I'm telling you, it's not moves. It's his way he runs pick and roll. He really is a pick and roll genius. Like he just has a great feel for it. So, I'm
intrigued. I don't love that he also sounds like a guy like went to elementary school with in Fort Collins. Preston,
is Preston, man. Preston. Anyway, these are we should talk, I guess, very, very quickly about the other 3 guys that were brought in.
Real quick on Jason Preston, his interview, 2 things that stood out. He said that he thinks he's going to really benefit from the spacing at the NBA level, and that he thinks this might have been a call out to other teams. This might have been a call out to Dev. He thinks teams are sleeping on his athleticism.
Oh, Dev, you've been called out.
Yeah, whenever there's an NBA guy that says that people are asleep on him, I don't know, man. I just don't know.
Dude, Dev stays sleeping.
The other thing that Preston said, he said he loves watching Nikola Jokic, loves how he makes the right reads. He loves how no one ever speeds Nikola Jokic up and he plays at his own pace.
Well, there it is. Like he's like, I like that he's slow too, and he's good.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm telling you, man, that's my guy. Matt Coleman went to Texas, 6'2", 180-pound, classic 4-year like point guard for a school where started for 4 years. Very, quick, smart, played in that full court pressing system, but probably undersized. I imagine he was brought in large part to sort of challenge Preston and maybe look for a G League spot. You had Jordan Goodwin, who's a Drew Holiday type, 6'3", 200 pounds, played for St. Louis, I believe, also 4 years or 3 years. I can't remember with him, but he was. Let me see. Does it have it on here? Yeah, he was a junior, so he played 3. No, he was a senior. He played 4 years, 4-year starter, and he was elite defender, one of the best defenders you will find in this draft. But he, some of the physical tools and some of the offense and stuff that won't translate. And then lastly, you have Ohio State, Dwayne Washington. Another player, 3-year starter. Interesting note about him, from Grand Rapids.
Very at home. Okay, is there any chance we could get Jason Preston, Nikola Jokic, and Kyle Anderson on the same team and have the first fast break to ever be called for an 8-second violation?
I'm telling you, that's who if I could comp him, I would say he's Preston. He's a 6'4" LaMelo Ball mixed with a 6'4" Kyle Anderson. So
let's go, dude.
It really is that style. All right, we'll get out of here. We kept you guys a little bit long today, but it was an important one. The Nuggets brought in some guys. Important. Superstar Dev, Christopher, Grimes, Preston for you. Is that the order?
Absolutely. And I'm going to be really high on Christopher after seeing the other two.
Harrison, what's your order?
Just watch Christopher's interview. You'll be even higher on him. I'll go Grimes, Christopher, Preston, but I really like Preston. But if I'm like betting on which two of those three will be NBA players, I'll say Grimes and Christopher. But I really like Preston too. I'd take a shot on him.
Yeah.
What do you think, Eric?
I told you I'm a Quentin Grimes man. I just need to be able to cheer for Quentin Grimes. That's what I need in my life. I also liked how he played basketball. That was another benefit to Quentin Grimes. I think I'm probably in that same order. Grimes, then that's it. And in fact, of everybody we've seen, I like Quentin Grimes the best of everyone we've looked at this point.
I like him too, and I'm hopeful that Michael Malone would actually play him like as a rookie. I don't know if that's the case. I think Michael Malone might get an ulcer if they brought in Christopher. Certainly, I mean, the thing about Preston is he's a second rounder, so Malone can delay that ulcer and whatever. But if you brought in a Josh Christopher, I do wonder if he's a Malone guy just because of how distracted he seems as a defender in college.
Yeah, Josh Christopher doesn't seem like a Denver Nuggets pick. The other two guys I could definitely see.
Hey, Nick Young,
though.
Tim Conley did bring in the literal Nick Young. He brought him in
on a 10-day. On a 10-day.
All right. Thanks everybody for joining us for this Mailbag Monday. We're going to be back again tomorrow. And by the way, things are picking up. 2.5 weeks to the draft, so we got more prospects to cover tomorrow, and I'm sure more guys coming into town as well for workouts. So we'll have all that covered. Hit the like button on the way out. We'll see you.